TJ the Wheel Deal coming at you live. It is Thursday, January the 29th, 10:11 a.m. Sorry, I'm running 6 minutes late. I could not get my damn dogs to come inside. They just weren't going to do it. They weren't going to do it. They wanted to take their sweet ass time, drop a couple of deuces in the backyard. I thought I was all done picking it up. And then Gavin pops another squat, drops another dump. It's feeling like the market. Feeling like the market. I slept in today. Woke up at 8:34 a.m. Glanced at the portfolios, and I didn't really think anything of it. I really didn't think anything of it, and went back to sleep. Went back to sleep, and then I was like, "Wait, I think I saw a lot of red. So let me get my bearings. So, brush my teeth or whatever. Normally, I like to shower in the mornings. None of that shit happened today." And then I looked at the phone. I looked at the big phone because I got two phones, personal and the Wheeler's phone. The big phone's the Wheeler's phone because I need a bigger screen so that I can, if I need to make trades when I'm on the go, it's less room that I'll fat thumb it. You know what I mean? There's less of a chance that I would fat thumb it because the screen's bigger and it's just easier to do things for me as I get older. And then I just started seeing 90%, 100%, like in buying power utilization percentage. And I was like, oh shit, this is serious. So I went over to the computer, made a lot of moves, wasn't able to go live doing that because the situation was real delicate. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk y'all through most of the things that I did, why I did them, what I'm going to continue to look to do if necessary, and go from there. Because, on some days you thrive, on other days you survive. I feel like today is a survival day. We are dealing with the volatility expansion. So when you're an option seller, it's like it'd be awesome if you have all this money on the sidelines, right? And then you sell options today, you're getting rewarded to take on that risk. But most of us, we already have a lot of options on. So even if you're mindful of your buying power and you have money to go sell other options, which in most cases we do, very, very grateful for that I've been pretty mindful of the buying power. It still makes it hard to do it because you have existing options that are getting absolutely annihilated. So anyway, we'll talk about all that. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do 1 minute with God. Feel like the way the day's going, we should do like an hour with God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if a minute's going to be enough. But on a serious note, I'm going to have to go ahead and record this one as I do it. So I'm going to have to get my phone out because I haven't done this segment yet so that I can put it on my X, because this is something that I'm trying to do for the whole year on X, is record the 1 minute with God. So let me just get this guy here and then let's get to reading. So January the 29th, 1 minute with God, shield. Sometimes it feels like I'm under attack. How does God defend me? Man, is this not appropriate or what? Your first line of defense is to draw strength from the fact that God is more powerful than your problems or your enemies. It says elite lending. They're probably trying to refinance me something, my house or something. Okay. Your first line of defense is to draw strength from the fact that God is more powerful than your problems or your enemies. Your faith in God is a shield that protects you from the temptations and criticisms hurled at you every day. Without strong faith, the weapons of Satan and the arrows shot at you by your enemies would pierce and defeat you. So even when life seems overwhelming, hold tightly to your faith like a shield, and you will withstand the dangers and discouragements sent at you. And rejoice, you know that God has already won the victory. God's response. In every battle, you will need faith as your shield to stop the fiery arrows aimed at you by Satan. Ephesians 6:16. The spirit who lives in you is greater than the spirit who lives in the world. 1 John 4:4. Every child of God defeats this evil world by trusting Christ to give the victory. First John 5:4, I believe. God's promise. The Lord protects those of childlike faith. I was facing death and then he saved me. Psalms 116 and 6. It's awesome, guys. You're gonna go through a lot of stuff in life. You're gonna go through a lot of stuff in life. And it's important to understand that he is within you is bigger than the world, right? Like there's nothing. I mean, Jesus conquered hell, death, and the grave. So there's nothing that life can throw at you that Jesus didn't already overcome, that God cannot overcome. So you'll be able to overcome it too. Just know that at the end of the day, God's got you, right? But you got to get you too. You got to get you too. You got to do your part. Anyway, peace out. So there's that. Let me go ahead and post that real quick on Next because I forgot to do it last time I did it this way. So let me just get that going here too. Bear with me. 1 minute with God. My daily devotional. I know a lot of y'all are bleeding out. We're going to get to the portfolio. Trust me, these problems will still be there. You know, it's like the people that drink. They try to drink away their problems and then they get done drinking and then they sober up. The problems are still there. I promise you, the portfolio problems are still going to be there whenever I log on in just a second. But you got to maintain perspective. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, because even me, you know, I'm going on 6 years strong, right? This is essentially the start of my 6th year selling options full time. Even when I logged onto the portfolio, there was a sense of, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on here. So let me just implement the game plan. I see the buying power. A lot of it's tapped out. So let me just take a look at it and let me make some adjustments. And if those adjustments don't work, I'm going to make other adjustments. And if those adjustments don't work, I'm going to have to trim. It's a game of adjustments. You're moving goalposts whenever you're selling options, specifically strangles. And then if that doesn't work because the algorithm's like, no, we don't like it. We don't like it. Maybe they see something that you're not seeing. They're like, no, this crap's not going to bounce as quickly as you might think. Then you got to trim. You're going to have to take some losses. So what I do is I make a bunch of adjustments and I accumulate credits, and I'll walk y'all through it. I'm just kind of giving y'all the verbal cues now. That way, you know, you can maybe understand a little bit better the things that I've done. So what I try to do is I try to make adjustments to take in credits, try to make adjustments, take in credits, try to make adjustments to take in credits. And I do it over and over and over again until I run out of adjustments. And if the buying power still isn't coming down, then I go trim the position that's causing the most problems. And that's going to ultimately free up the buying power. And then I look at the total activity and I'm like, okay, how many credits did I take in? And what was my debit to trim the position that was causing problems? And I can already tell y'all it was PayPal that's causing problems across the portfolio right now. Then I just look at the total net premiums for the day, and I try to stay pretty close to positive. And then I also look to trim positions that I don't need right now. Like I like focus. That's why I like less positions. Less is more for me because less positions equals more focus. And then the answer to the test becomes more obvious to me as to what I need to do, because you don't want to blow up your account. And what does it mean by blowing up your account? Losing a lot of money, yes. But it's also like overcorrecting because then you can create this whipsaw effect. So I'm giving you a little bit of a teaching segment into the mindset before we go to the portfolios, because I might still have to make some corrections. I might still have to make some adjustments. What I've done may not be sufficient because I don't know how high the VIX is going to go. I don't know how bad the SoFis, the PayPals, the Palantirs are going to get hammered, because specifically those three are the ones causing problems. MicroStrategy. Fortunately, strategy is typically in the distance in all the portfolios, so it doesn't cause as many problems. So let's get into it. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Shout out to 324 people rocking me live on YouTube, on Twitter, 96 people live. That's a lot more than we normally have when we first start to stream. So what does that tell me? Y'all are in a bind. Put all your questions on there. I'm going to make sure to be very thorough today. I'm going to go through the portfolio, show y'all how I navigate it, and I'm going to try to get to y'all's questions as well, because normally y'all aren't tuning in this early. So it tells me that you don't need any fluff today. You don't need any entertainment. You need to deal with what the heck's in front of you. So I got you. I got you. What's going on, Prolin? What's going on, options? Is this a buy the dip opportunity? We'll talk about it. Need TSLL to stay above 16 so I don't have to roll. Are we live? We just went live a little while ago, so I was running late. I could not get the dogs inside. They just weren't listening, and I wasn't about to run after them in a half-acre backyard. Are we live net? How do I join the Discord, sir? We don't have a Discord. We have a WhatsApp group, and that is available to all of our members, middle tier and above on YouTube. I think it's like $10.99 or $12.99, something like that, whatever it is on YouTube. And then obviously anybody paying the $25 on X, you're obviously going to get access to the WhatsApp group as well. Good morning. Ugh is right. I'm really wishing I would have been able to sell all those Enphase shares yesterday. Man, I would have looked like a freaking genius, but that didn't happen. Option sellers are unique. While the market is running to the hills, I'm celebrating. That's the thing. If you're mindful of your buying power, that's exactly right. Morning, are you doing well this crazy red day? You're doing great on the weight loss. Appreciate you. Yes, we're trending down just like the market, right? My weight's going down just like the market. Down goes Frazier. I'm showing my age there with that comment. Down goes Frazier. It's Frazier Ali, and Ali knocks down Frazier. I'm not sure if it was a Thriller Manila. I don't remember which one because they fought like 3 times. But that's kind of how I feel today. Down goes Frazier. Howard Cosell. Do you ever self-reflect? If I was marked to market for losses like you are being currently, I would seriously question my trades. No, man, I just believe in my strategy. I just believe in my strategy and I stick with it. I stick with it until I manufacture the win, unless the thesis was just wrong. Like that happened on IDEX. There was nothing that I was going to be able to do to manufacture the win on IDEX because IDEX wasn't going to make it. Right. So at that point, I was like, okay, shit, I'm going to have to take my. Excuse me 1 second. 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. That was my brother-in-law. He was like, I got, I got an extra 100 grand. How do I buy BM&R? So I was like, I was walking him through it. So anyway, I told him if it was me, I would buy the shares, but that would immediately sell the covered calls because you want to hedge to the downside because we don't know where the bottom would be, right? I don't have a crystal ball. Okay, so let me make sure I get. Have I not been sharing the screen yet? Are we just getting started? Okay. Can you guys see me? Hear me? Let me. Okay, yeah, I'm good. I got the TV in the background, so I know that you guys can hear me. Why isn't it showing up yet? Hold on. Did I forget how to share the screen? Jesus Christ. Hold on. Here we go. Share the screen. Hello, stupid. Okay. There we go. There we go. That should be it. That should be it right there. Yes or no? You guys should see Tasty Trade. First thing I look at every day. First thing I look at every day is the P&L for the day, and boom, you're going to see collectively $1.9 million to the no bueno. So there's that. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, though, is before we do that, I'm just looking at the TV to see if it shows what I wanted to show. Yes. This is the net lick. I'm going to start doing screenshots of the net lick so y'all can see whenever I'm talking about these accounts. This is the value of those accounts, if that makes sense. So this will be something that I feature on a daily basis. So account ending in 35, the net lick right now is 505. This is right before I went live. So this is going to be plus or minus, depending on what the market's doing, right? Because we're trading live. There's 83,000. There's 533,000. 282,000, 762,000. So you can see some serious drawdowns here just today. Account ending in 33 is 664,000. The big account's down 1.7 million. Holy moly, right? So we'll talk about it. Account ending in 20 is down 138,000. Account ending in 47, that's the DGen account. Serious drawdown today as well. So obviously we already know on the little account, that if it's down and the only thing that it has is BMNU, I already know crypto's getting slaughtered. I already know that. Based on what you're holding, you should know what sectors are doing well and not doing well. So we already know that crypto's getting slaughtered. So let's talk about it. So the first thing that I look at when I look at this thing every day is where are we at for the day? I glance at where we're at year to date, but I don't really focus on that too much. I just don't. Why? Because down in distance is over here. If I win enough days, the year to date kind of takes care of itself. So now the next thing that I look at is options buying power and stock buying power. More so on a very, very red day. But I glance at that, but then really my eye always goes to buying power percentage or usage percentage. So now I'm looking at 71, I'm looking at 73, 81, 78, 76, 75, 71, 79, 95.4. My threshold, my risk tolerance threshold is 60%. So there's not a one of these that is below my risk tolerance. So you guys ride car or drive cars. I'm assuming most of y'all drive cars, motorcycle. Me mostly motorcycle, some car. We call it redlining, right? Like when you like rev it up, like and then before you like shift it into gear, right? Like you shift up or whatever, like on your motorcycle. The transmission's like until you get into another gear and then it can go so it chills out again. So I feel like we're borderline red line on all these transmissions. So we got to shift gears. So whenever the buying power usage spikes up tremendously, it's typically a combination of two things. One is volatility expansion. And two is negative price movement for you, the option seller, because this is an account where we buy options predominantly. That's what we do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take y'all through each of these accounts, and if any of these goes negative in buying power, you guys will see me handle that particular situation. But a couple of these accounts did go negative today. Specifically, account ending in 19 went negative. And I mean buying power, meaning you get the parenthesis signs over here on the options buying power saying, hey, you ain't got anything to work with here. Go handle your business. That's basically what it's saying. So it's like the start of a margin call. It's called margin maintenance, I think is like the technical term. So it's just like if you get into a margin call, it's like, oh my God, you better friggin' send money to the bank and all that stuff. No, you don't have to do that. They'll allow you to make some adjustments so that you can go from red line to like yellow line, right? So it's kind of like red light, yellow light, green light, go. So green light's good. For me, green light's under 50%. Yellow line's under 60%. And over 60%, in my opinion, for me, it's like red, maybe not like quite red, but pretty red, pretty red. So keep that in mind. That's just like the way that I look at it. It's like the red light, yellow light, green light, go. So let's start with account ending in 35. So this account is getting absolutely slaughtered today, but let's see how bad it really is. So the first thing I want to show you guys is the activity. This is everything that I did today. This is, man, was there even NVIDIA on this one? I'm just trying to make sure that this is showing for this account. I'm assuming it is. So it looks like I closed out NVIDIA. It looks like I did something with Palantir, Strategy, PayPal, and SoFi. So a lot going on, So let's look at the actual positions, see what's going on. The other thing that I want to show real quick to give you guys context is the history. And this is going to show the transactions. And I've got it filtered on any transactions for today. And the number on the right-hand side, it's going to be the number that tells the entire story. We're looking for a positive number here. So after all of the moves that I made today, this is our net premiums for the day, positive $17,722. So that part's good, but I had to do a lot to get there. So the first thing that I did, again, this is 9:02. Y'all can see that it's off to a little bit of a late start because I'm telling you, I slept in. I woke up. First time I saw the phone this morning, it was 8:34 a.m. And then usually the thing that I glance at first is just like Yahoo Finance. And then I see how many damn messages are on the WhatsApp group and see if I'm just going to like scroll all the way to the latest message or if I'm going to take time to read the feed. Most of the times I just scroll down to the latest message and then I'll like glance at the feed throughout the day, but I don't actually like read the whole thing because sometimes it's 200 or 300 messages if it's a weekend. So it looks like what I did here was I did something with NVIDIA. So it looks like I just closed out the trade on NVIDIA. So hopefully we locked in a profit there. We'll see. I'm just kind of walking y'all through the things that I did, and then we'll go try to find specifically those trades on the order chain and stuff like that. And then it looks like I did some stuff with Palantir. Looks like I did some stuff with Palantir. Looks like I bought or sold some more naked calls on Palantir. And what else does it show here? Palantir puts. Looks like maybe there was a roll involved. I'll look at it here in a second when I pull up the actual positions. Looks like it is something with strategy there. Looks like I rolled from 130 to 125 on strategy. Yeah, from 130 to 125. So it looks like I did that. And then on PayPal, I did a lot of stuff with PayPal. I'll walk y'all through that. And then it looks like I also went from 24 to 23 on SoFi. So just eyeballing it here, I'm thinking that the mindset whenever I'm doing all of this stuff on this account is I don't like where the buying power usage percentage is. And if it takes time, if it comes down to a situation to where I got to take a stand, I want to make sure that I put strike prices where I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna have to go all in right now for a little bit on this particular position. Let me get it at a price that really makes a lot of sense for us so that down the road we can turn it into dollars. So let's just take it down the road, right? So the first one, let me make sure I got my days to expiration. There we go. So PayPal. So what's going on with PayPal? We already had these backstop trades and I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I just left it alone. I looked at the capital requirements. So the first thing that I do whenever the market's really, really bleeding out, and I feel like I do this all the time, but more so on days like today, is I'm like, which one's sucking up all the capital requirement? And is there something that really stands out today in comparison to yesterday? Because if your buying power usage went up, it stands to reason that the capital requirement has to go up on a couple of these positions. So I'd have to literally go roll the tape on the live yesterday to see what the capital requirements were on PayPal yesterday. There might be a way to do it on here. I just don't know how. I think there's a way to do it. And I think it's called it might be something like under the risk analysis. I just don't know how to do it. And I did the tutorial. With Tasty Trade on this, but I think that I could do something like that. I just don't know how. Like I don't know how, and I don't feel like I'm going to be able to learn how to do it today. Maybe if I click on position, I'm not sure. But there's a way to look at what the capital requirement was yesterday in comparison today. I just don't know how to do it. So what I do is I just go look at the tape. That's why I have this documentary series, if you will, going on, because I'll just literally go look at the tape and it'll tell me what the capital requirements are if I featured this portfolio yesterday. But essentially what I did is we look at the order chain. Now I'm going to take my time and really walk y'all through the things that I did and why I did them. And you guys are going to see that I didn't do anything with the puts. I stand by the backstop trade. But what I did do, what I did is I sold more calls. You guys are going to see right there that I sold more calls at 65. I'm like, okay, if these puts are going to continue to cause problems, I need to ring the cash register on the calls, because two things can't be true. These calls can't be coming under pressure, under duress, and these puts continue to be under pressure, under duress, if you will. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go ring the cash register. I'm going to lock in some wins. Let me see what the balance is here. There's plenty of cash here. Let me look at the extrinsic value. There's $232,000 of extrinsic value. We already saw that this was roughly a $500,000 account right now, right? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, if everything were to expire out of the money, because everything's out of the money right now, we don't see any ITMs here. I'm like, this still has the makings of a $700,000+ portfolio. So now the next thing that I look at is days to expiration. How real is it? How real could it be? So I see that the days to expiration, the longest one aside from the backstop trade, is 50 days out. So now I'm going to go through it and I'm going to start piecing together what would need to happen so that this portfolio can get to the next goal. What's the goal? 750,000. That's the goal. Because if it's at 500,000, I'm not thinking about $1 million yet. I'm thinking about 750,000. Once I get to 750,000, I'm like, we could teeter totter for 60, 90 days. And then I find the right situation and boom, we get to $1 million. That's just the way that it's always worked whenever you have the bigger money. For me, selling options, it's like you go stale, you're stagnant. Things really aren't moving in your direction. And then all of a sudden, boom. And you climb up another rung in the ladder. So that's all that I did with PayPal. I was like, let's calm down. We don't have to do anything. It's still above $50. It's 323 days out. It's not like early assignment wouldn't be a thing right now. Like, what? You just think about it. Let's just think about, because there's this early assignment phobia. It's almost like before you've driven a Tesla, you have what's called range anxiety. I think that a lot of people that are early in their options career, they have early assignment anxiety. So let's just talk about the dynamics and let's just use basic terminology, basic English, so that you guys can understand what are truly the risks of early assignment. You got to always point to the money, you always got to point to the incentive. Show me the incentive, I'll show you the likely outcome. The late, great Charlie Munger, right? Paraphrasing. These puts, these short puts slash cash secured puts, whatever you want to call them, they're really portfolio secured puts because this portfolio has portfolio margin. How do you know that a portfolio has portfolio margin? It's when the options buying power and the stock buying power, they match. They match. So we know that this one matches. It's got to be over $175,000. You got to maintain that average on Tasty Trade to qualify for portfolio margin. They make you fill out a questionnaire of 10 to 20 questions to see whether or not, based on your risk tolerance, whether or not portfolio margin would even make sense for you, or it just doesn't jive with what you're saying you want to accomplish with your portfolio. So they don't give portfolio margin to everyone. You got to have a little bit of gambling. You got to be willing to speculate a little bit in order for Tasty Trade to be like, hey, here's a bunch of rope. Don't go hang yourself. Because I feel like whenever you get portfolio margin, that's kind of what it is. Tasty Trade's like, okay, man, we're gonna give you 5, 8 to 1, sometimes 10 to 1 on your money. Go do good. Go do good. But don't hurt yourself with that rope. We'll help you out too because we'll increase the buying power usage and we'll make you trim, etc. Tasty Trade will have your back because they won't let you play too damn big. They'll zap you, right? They'll zap you. It's like an electric fence. They'll zap you. So going back to this early assignment anxiety, let's just talk about this particular trade because I think this could really help your mindset. Because whenever I really understood this, I was able to take a step back and calm down. This is an agreement to buy PayPal at 323 days from now. What is the financial incentive for the counterparty to put these shares on me right now? Think about it. They're going to put shares in your portfolio, and you're only going to pay $50 for those shares. And you could literally turn around and sell them on the open market for $53.03. We already know that that's not going to happen. Like, I don't even know where that ranks in the IQ scale for the counterparty. So we know that they're not financially incentivized to do that. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you're going to be very successful selling options, in my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion, my perspective. I'm not saying that I'm right for you, but that's the perspective and mindset that works for me. So I'm like, okay, there's literally zero risk of early assignment on this particular position right now. Why? Because it's out of the money. The strike price, if it's a short put, whenever your share price is above your strike price, that mathematically means that it's out of the money. If we could fast forward the clock 323 days from now, all of the extrinsic value, which is $115,000, would make its way from the extrinsic value to the net liquidation value, and that would automatically pump the portfolio from 505,000 to about 620,000, all other things in the portfolio remaining equal. So you got to really understand the scoreboard. In the interim, we've got 200 calls. So we got an agreement to buy 20,000 shares of PayPal down the road at $50. So that's $1 million obligation, while having an agreement to sell 20,000 shares of PayPal at $65 8 days from now. So if the $65 calls are getting challenged, then mathematically that means that the $50 puts can no longer be getting challenged. So I like to create situations that are mutually exclusive. It's this or that. You're not going to win. This is a coin flip. You can't win both sides. You can't win both sides. What are we hoping for? That magical coin that falls like it's not tails or heads. It's just falling like standing, right? Like kind of like that one or two times a year where you can like put the egg on the table and it doesn't fall over, that kind of thing, right? Very improbable, very unlikely, but it does happen every once in a while. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So we're like, okay, well, this is being a little bit problematic right now. So why don't I ring the cash register a few times on these naked calls and do that over and over and over again and keep stacking the cash? That way, as we get closer to this expiration date, provided that PayPal is still trending slightly down. And by the way, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted when I got into this position. Why? Because I want to be able to stay in this trade for the next 3 to 5 years. So if PayPal shoots up and the only thing that I have is $50 puts, that feels good from the perspective that you never dealt with any pressure and you made money. Whatever premiums they paid you, you made them, you move on to another trade, and that's good. But I don't want to look for another trade. I want to stay in this trade because I feel like, from a valuation perspective, PayPal is extremely attractive. It's extremely attractive right now at $53. It would be even more attractive at $50. And if I were to roll this down the road, let's say we fast forward the clock 6 to 9 months, and then now I want to roll it again, keep it on the books again, for 121.28, and I keep it at 50, I could make a crap load of premiums there. Or if it doesn't become about premiums anymore and I just want to de-risk the position or get a better entry point, I go from 50 to 47.50. They pay $43,000 for that, for agreeing to buy PayPal at an even more attractive entry point. That's exciting. So I'd rather deal with this kind of pressure, and I'll just make some realized gains along the way playing the other side. So that's how I'm playing PayPal. That's why I'm calling it the rich man's covered call, because instead of buying the leap and paying out premiums, shelling out cash for doing it, I always want to be a net premium seller. That I'd rather be the casino than the gambler. I'm like, I could deal with that pressure because I I truly feel that PayPal is a heck of a deal at $50. If I could get it at 47.50 or 45, if I'm able to somehow, PayPal keeps going sideways and slightly down over the next year or so, and I keep doing it over and over and over again, I feel like it would be like stealing money from a bank if I could buy these shares for under $45. I mean, we are still talking about a company that's profitable, and not just like barely profitable. They're really profitable. We're talking about a company that's got a lot of money and they're buying back the float. What are we talking about here? This isn't a shit company. It's just not growing as fast as it once did. So there's been a re-rating going on with PayPal for the last 18 to 24 months. And that's the problem. There's a lot of people that don't like the price action, but the company in and of itself is not going out of business in our lifetimes. Very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. Could they be potentially an acquisition target? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I could see that. So that's what's going on with PayPal. BMU absolutely getting slaughtered. We got 7,000 shares at 544. If y'all remember correctly, I bought these shares on accident. I was on the website version and I bought like 6,400 or 6,600 of these shares on accident. I didn't mean to buy them in this particular portfolio, but here we are. So I made it a neat, nice round number, and I bought and got it to 7,000. Might be able to see it here. Maybe if I go activity, it'll show it all. Or is it order chain? Not sure. No, it's not analysis. It's gotta be activity. I'm just not seeing it. There we go. Let's see. I see 5,000 shares. I see 1526. I see 74. I see 400. That's how we got to the 7,000 shares. And I was like, okay, didn't really mean to do that. Didn't really mean to do that, but we're here now. So I sold calls against those shares. Fortunately, I'm bringing some money through the door, and we bought them for 544. We agreed to sell them for 722 days from now. That's not the end of the world for a quote unquote mistake. But then I was like, well, you know what? We're already here. I actually think that's a pretty damn good entry point for BM&U. Why don't we agree to buy 6,500 more shares at $4? Because then now we have an average of probably 5, maybe even under 5, right? Just doing the math, probably like 475 or something like that. And then on the next round of calls, and these would be covered calls, then I could sell calls at like 6. So I still maintain control of the position. Clean Spark. These are just short puts at $10, 22 days from now. This was at like 60 some percent. Now it's at 36%. So a pretty substantial drawdown today, but it's not utilizing a lot of buying power. So closing out this position right now would be premature. Rolling out this position right now would be premature because it's not really going to move the needle, because I'm looking at the capital requirements, and we already know that PayPal and Palantir is what's sucking up all the buying power in this particular portfolio. Not going to be that thorough on all of these portfolios. I'm using this as an example because that's what all of them were today. That's what all of them were today. So CleanSpark, I left it alone. Didn't do anything with CleanSpark. SoFi, what did I do? It was $24. The put expired tomorrow. I'm like, okay, the tasty trade way, man. What do they tell you? It's easier to get the first 50%. Let's just go back to the tasty trade way. And we're like, it looks like if there's another leg down for SoFi, it could definitely get to $24 by tomorrow. I don't know that would be the best thing for this particular portfolio right now, because the buying power usage is already so high. It could definitely afford the $240,000 of SoFi. But I'm like, wouldn't you rather buy them at 23? And they're going to pay you a little bit of money for doing that. So that's what I did. I rolled from 24 to 23 and got a little bit of money. I put the order in for 25 cents. They price improved me to 27 cents. And I was like, okay, $2,700 to the good. I'll take it. And now we can breathe a little bit easier with SoFi. If SoFi wants to keep trending down, I keep doing this over and over again. Maybe take ownership at like 22, 21, 20, depending on what happens overall with the market. It could get kind of exciting. Because that could be a pretty nice entry point on SoFi, create a little swing trade opportunity, ride the shares back up to 26, 27, 28. And now we get closer to what? That $750,000 goal. Everything that I do with these portfolios has that goal in mind. So I don't beat myself up over every little daily price movement, gyrations in the portfolio. I just don't do that. I always keep my eyes on the price. And right now, the eye on the price for me, like the prize is, like where my eyes are fixated on, is how can it all play out so that I can get this portfolio to 750,000. And then after that, I'm going to formulate a game plan to get it to $1 million, because that is the goal. Those are the goals. So that's what I did with SoFi. What did I do with strategy? I was already in this play at 130. You guys will see it right here. And I was like, would it be prudent to kick the can down the road an additional 32 days? Because this thing expired 15 days to expiration. We're at 15 days to expiration right now. And I kicked the can down the road for a February the 13th expiry. I moved from that to a March 13th expiry, and I went from a $130 strike to a $125 strike, and they paid me money for that. And net credit. I was like, that is just the right thing to do. Why agree to buy a strategy at 125 when the bottom's falling out of Bitcoin right now. There's some supply zones and stuff. Manish was sending me some uh some charts earlier. But what if that doesn't hold up? I'm like, I want to stay ahead of this thing a little bit. It's not utilizing a lot of capital right now because I'm being responsible and I'm rolling it out. But if I let it play out, then it might if strategy takes another leg down, it might potentially start causing buying power pressure on the portfolio. So this is in the yellow line category, if you will. There's no need to get it to the red line. And 130 is a good entry point, in my opinion, for strategy, but 125 would be even better. And they paid me money for doing that because we rolled from a position of strength, not a position of weakness, because we weren't even in the money. So I was like, that's the right thing to do. So I don't have to mess with it right now. Now let's talk about the most problematic trade across all the portfolios today, and that is Palantir. I have the 130 puts, and then now I have the $200 calls. So let's talk about this particular position because I had to do this across the board. So the first thing that I did is I sold more calls. And I was like, I need more weight on the call side. So I did that. And it was at 220. So I brought in some money, $124 a contract. And then I rolled all those calls down from 220 to 200. Why? To create delta neutrality, or at least a semblance of it. And that's what I did. So now you have 100 puts at 130 that are at 23 delta. So hopefully Palantir can find its sea legs here, because Palantir reminds me of a new foal on the ranch, right? Where they're like struggling to get up, right? Have you ever been around a little filly or whatever, a little colt? And the first couple of times they get up after they're born, they're like trying to get their bearings, right? And they're like, they look like they're drunk. They look like it's the funniest thing to see. It's the funniest thing to see. So if you go grab that colt or that filly and you start touching them right when they're first getting up, you develop this confidence with them. They trust you. It's called imprinting. So that's what I feel like Palantir is doing. It's that little colt, it's that little filly trying to find its bearings, trying to get its sea legs, and hopefully it can get its sea legs. I told y'all yesterday, if this thing pierces through that 200-day moving average, it's absolutely no bueno, and here we are. I feel like there's a lot of people that held on to Palantir for allegiances, whatever reasons, unbeknownst to me, because my allegiance is to the portfolios. And here we are now. Hopefully they collected some premiums along the way. Hopefully maybe they sold some calls, used that premium to buy some puts to protect the portfolio that way. I don't know. I'm not running that race. I'm playing the range game. So now I have the range game that is a little bit less comfortable. It's a little more uncomfortable because we're not at 130 and 220 anymore. We're at 130 and 200. So what I want to talk to y'all right now is about overcorrecting. An overcorrection would be to have rolled this down to like 180. That, in my opinion, would be an overcorrection. Roll strikes down. I need to get to table. This would be an overcorrection. I'm like, well, I'm going to just get to delta neutral, etc. That would be an overcorrection. And you see how the buying power is reduced. So the algorithm doesn't like it. So Tasty Trade is basically saying, hey, pump the brakes a little bit. You've already done good by adding more calls to the other side. And let's just look at the actual extrinsic value of these trades. We got 49,000 versus 27,000. You don't want to create a whipsaw effect. Sergio's been on the channel and he talks about that a lot. That's why he's not a huge fan of strangles, because if you correct to one side, like Palantir is going down, so you make that correction, and then all of a sudden there's a very serious or vicious rebound to the upside. Now you're going to have to go correct again on the other side. So it becomes like a whipsaw. It's like they're getting you going, they're getting you, they're getting you going and coming. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to overcorrect, because those are the things that can create a lot of frustration, and you can find yourself potentially blowing up your portfolio because you're just gonna, fuck, I can't do it no more. I'm just gonna book the loss. Calm down. Width is your friend. Width is your friend here. Another thing that I could potentially look to do is add more calls. But based on the way everything's looking here, I bet that if I add more calls, it'll still take more buying power. It won't like that move either. So instead of rolling these calls down, if I was like, I just want to add more calls for more delta on the other side, more extrinsic value on the other side, I'm pretty damn confident it's going to be like, no, we don't like that move. And how do I know? Because you're going to see the buying power requirement. If it increases, it likes to move. If it decreases, it doesn't like to move. So let's look at it. Doesn't like the move. It doesn't like the move. So that's your cue to where maybe I don't have to do anything. Let's look at the little snowman. It's collecting $2,000 a day. So we could just handle this pressure for 10 days. That's 20,000 bucks that comes off of this extrinsic value, all things remaining equal. And then the other thing that I'm always looking at is the IV rank. Where was the IV rank yesterday? Where is it today? Those are the metrics that I want to learn how to find on Tasty Trade. So I'm going to be doing some homework over the next couple of weeks, or I'm going to have option back on the channel and be like, hey, how do I find where the IV rank was to make sure that that's what we're dealing with and it's not just negative price action? Because if it's negative price action on top of IV rank increase, then that's like a double whammy, right? Like you're getting slaughtered, like slaughtered bigly, if you will. So that is everything that I did with this particular portfolio. And where did it land us? Positive $17,000 to the good. I just rolled some stuff around, but we still have very manageable days to expiration, right? 8, 22, 22, 29, 43, and 50. And everything's out of the money. There's a snapshot of all of it. There's a snapshot of all of it. I'd recommend taking a picture. Do a screenshot of that so you can really see it, and then try to visualize the gimmies and the gotchas. So let's talk about like some worst case scenarios. What would really hurt? Just based on the capital requirements, what could hurt the portfolio the most? PayPal dips to like 45. Palantir dips to like 130. That would hurt the portfolio. So now if it dipped to that level, then the algorithm's probably going to do me a solid and allow me to go from 200 to 180 or 170 and bring in some more credits and take a little bit of pressure off the portfolio. But the other thing that I would probably have to do if Palantir dipped to 130, I hope y'all can appreciate how thorough I am with you guys, because a lot of you guys are in a bind and I don't want you to overreact. I don't want you to overcorrect. I want you to make small adjustments. I want you to think about backing up a horse trailer or an 18-wheeler. You got your trailer, you got your truck, you got your trailer. If you need to go to this side, you need to turn the steering wheel to this side. But if you turn it too much, you're going to create what's called a jackknife. So you want to make some very, very small adjustments to your steering wheel so you can be real, real smooth and back into your desired destination. I grew up on a ranch. It's called common sense. These are things that you learn on the ranch. My wife makes fun of me for growing up on a ranch, but the one thing that the ranch gives you that the city doesn't is a lot of common sense. So small corrections go a long way over long periods of time. So that is what I'm trying to encourage you guys to do, is do the correction that's necessary, not the one that makes you feel good. Let's say that one again. It's gold for you guys. Do the correction that's necessary, not the correction that makes you feel good. So I correct based on the math and the circumstances. I don't correct based on, oh, this is what's going to make me feel good. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable in this game. I cannot stress that enough. And I can't give you that mindset, man. I can't give you that mindset. It's a temperament that I developed over the years. And I think what really, really helped me was struggling so much in my life. was struggling so much in my life financially. So I got comfortable being uncomfortable. And then what really, really shaped my mentality and what really helped shape my temperament for the stock market was learning how to play poker and understanding that, hey, I'm in front of some people. I can't wear the cards that I'm holding on my face. I got to be able to keep my composure. I have to be able to keep my composure. If I'm going to tell a story, it has to be a believable story at the poker table, because that's essentially what it is. It's a game of lies, right? It's like, who's the best liar? Those are typically the best poker players, because they're going to tell a story. They're going to be like, hey, these cards that I'm holding, they're telling a story, and I'm corroborating that story. I'm doubling down on that story based on the amount of chips that I'm willing to put in the middle. So you got to keep your cool, man. You got to keep your cool. You don't want to overcorrect, because then you're going to create that whipsaw effect that Sergio was talking about. So that's everything that I did with that particular portfolio, and the buying power usage is still 71. It was probably in the high 70s when I started. Other portfolio, didn't do anything aside from actually I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything here. If I go activity, yeah, nothing. Didn't do anything. I'm like, okay, it's at 72%. Let's look at it. 52 and a half, 106 days out, and we got the calls at 65. I'm like, I don't have to do anything. BMNU, it's already accounted for. We own the shares at 572. 530 is the adjusted cost basis based on how much we collected on the premiums on these covered calls. So we're just running a covered call campaign there. That's not going to suck up buying power. The only thing that's going to suck up a lot of buying power here is going to be what? PayPal. So what hurts this portfolio? PayPal takes a leg down to like $50 or so. Then I'd have to be like, shit, man, am I going to really have to turn this damn PayPal into a backstop trade? This was like a mini backstop trade. Am I really going to have to do that? So what are we cheering for here? For PayPal to go back up to like 54, 55, because it's causing a lot of problems over here. That's what's going on with that one. Accounting in 19. This one was legit in parentheses, and it's still not out of harm's way. None of these portfolios are out of harm's way, by the way, right now. We're just not. We're in the middle of the fire. It's hot. It's hot, but I'm trying to walk y'all through all of the mindset, all of the moves that I potentially might have, that I've already made, the moves that I might have to make. And if that doesn't work, then you got to take some losses and you got to trim. That's just the reality of it. So let's talk about this particular portfolio. So to give you all context, I always look at the activity. So after all of this, we landed on negative $1,300 in premiums. So based on all the premiums that were collected and given back, that's where the bird landed. That's where the eagle landed. So now let's make sure we're on days to expiration, and let's go through all these positions. PayPal. So what's going on with PayPal? We've got 65 calls. So I added more calls, and I trimmed on the puts. We can see it here on the order chain. I trimmed on the puts. We had 300 puts, and I bought to close 100 of those. So I gave back $475 a contract on 100 puts. So every position, everything that I did was leading up to me trimming the PayPal position. I was like, okay, let me restructure the portfolio a little bit. Let me add over here. Let me subtract over here. Let me roll over here, so that I could reduce some of the exposure, some of the short put exposure to PayPal. That was the mindset on this particular portfolio. And then I sold more calls. So I rung the cash register over there, and I was like, okay, Mr. Market, if you're going to be a pain in the ass on the short puts, that means you're not going to be able to be a pain in the ass on the short calls. You decide. And I'm like, if I can ring the cash register $10,000 a month on the short calls, that's going to go a long way by the time we get to the 78-day cycle. And then we'll just turn it into a regular short strangle, because it'll have the same expiration dates. So that's what I'm looking for there. CleanSpark didn't do anything. I didn't do anything on CleanSpark. You guys will see it. I didn't do anything. Today's, I didn't do anything. This is just something that I had already sold. And the reason I didn't do anything is because, one, it's comfortably out of the money. It's a 16 delta. A, B, the capital requirement, $5,600. Even if I took this trade off now, gave back $1,000 that I didn't need to do, because I I could have given $1,000 less if I closed it out yesterday. It's still not going to move the needle. That's going to take it from 80% to maybe like 78%. So it's not really going to move the needle. So I feel like that would be an unnecessary move right there. What else did I do with SoFi? I was like, okay, I like SoFi at 24, but I love it at 23, essentially. So I just rolled from 24 to 23. Nothing crazy, but I got a little bit of a credit, right? $25 a contract. So it's a lot when you consider 200 contracts. That's $5,000. But what was even better is the commitment went from $2,300 from $2,400 a contract to $2,300 a contract because I lowered the strike price from 24 to 23. So that substantially de-risked the portfolio as well. And then Palantir, this was the pain spot. This was the pain spot in this portfolio, big time, big time. So let's talk about it. So what did I do? First thing that I did is I sold more calls. I sold more calls at 220 and I brought in $123 a contract. I sold, I'm over here towards the top right. So I got $123 a contract times 25. So pretty good lick. And then so that put me at 75 calls here. And then I rolled down from 220 to 200 and brought in $174 a contract. So that's what I did there on strategy. What did I do on strategy? I don't think I did anything. No, January the 16th. I didn't do anything. I left it alone. On BMNR, didn't do anything. So those were all the moves that I made here. It looks like a lot because of the way that Tasty Trade shows all the fills, but it really wasn't that much. And it landed us at $1,382 to the no bueno. But now I feel a lot better about it because instead of having an agreement to buy 30,000 shares of PayPal at 55, we now have an agreement to only buy 20,000 shares of PayPal at 55. Why is this important? Because this is, between a $500,000 and $600,000 portfolio. We only have $854,000 in cash if we wanted to go all in. So I got caught playing a little bit too big on PayPal. So I had to accept that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to lose a little bit of money over here, closing out these puts. A. B, I'm going to make up the money because it's not the only position in the portfolio. So that's why I was able to restructure the portfolio, rebalance it a little bit. And we're still not out of the woods. What helps us? PayPal gets back up to like 54, 55 bucks. That helps more than anything in the portfolio. What else helps? Palantir gets like 155, 160. That's what helps. Those are the things that you need. You got to know what it is that you're cheering for. What else helps? Strategy gets to like 150. Those things help. So again, another teaching segment for you guys is whenever there's a gap down or a gap up in the market, it's usually extremely volatile for about the first hour or so. And then it tends to calm down a little bit because the algos are done for the most part. The market historically slows down between 11 a.m. Central and 1 p.m. Central. So if you can hold on and if you can be real comfortable being uncomfortable, that might be the opportune time to make those moves. I wanted to make those moves so that I could go live and talk to y'all about all the moves that I made. So I made them during the heat of the fire. Because if the market rebounds a little bit, because what did we have? We had big tech earnings. Meta was amazing. Tesla surprisingly was pretty decent. And Microsoft, I thought was decent to good. So those are 3 of the top 10 largest companies in the world. And they already gave us the answers to the test. Like, hey, we're good. We're here to stay. We're here to play. So that part's good news. So there could be a little bit of an overreaction or manipulation potentially going on in the market. So you want to be a little bit careful. Now, the one thing that really stands out in this portfolio in comparison to the last one is we have in the money. So now let's talk about what's the likelihood of early assignment. Let's address the early assignment anxiety. Counterparty says, hey, you got an agreement, gotcha. You got an agreement to buy these shares at $55. It's at 53.22. They're financially incentivized to put these shares on you early. So what's your defense against that? Is having enough time on the clock, a la extrinsic value, to mitigate against that potential risk. And that's the good news of having been in this trade now, is you know how much you collected, right? You know how much you collected. You go over the order chain. You're like, well, I've collected some pretty good credits along the way for getting myself into this particular pickle. So I feel like the counterparty isn't financially incentivized enough to put these shares on me right here, right now. So I think that I could stay strong here. I could stay strong here and wait it out another 30 days or so, 45 days, collect the little theta right there, the little snowman, $1,263, and it'll climb, it'll escalate as we get closer to expiration. And I'm like, okay, well, that trade didn't work out. Fortunately, it's a campaign. So at some point, if I could just stay in it and I could keep rolling, eventually maybe go from 55 to 54, eventually 54 to 53, in 6 months to a year, I'll be able to manufacture the win. And that's another part of my mindset, because somebody had mentioned earlier, and I'm not looking at any of the comments. I apologize. I'm trying to get through this and then I'll address the comments. But someone's like, "Hey, do you tend to question X, Y, and Z?" I was like, no, because it's a campaign. I'm wrong a lot. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't need to be right now. I just need to manufacture the win eventually. If you can be right now, fantastic. Your year to date, your ROI, all that's going to be amazing. It takes me a while to manufacture the win, guys. Like, I have a 3 to 5 year time horizon to manufacture the win on some of these positions, because it's very, very hard to buy the bottom and it's nearly impossible to sell the top. I've already accepted that. I've already accepted that as my reality in the stock market, is that my crystal ball absolutely sucks. It absolutely sucks. So I just got to work with what I got, that's it. I got to work with what I got. So I'm like, okay, I feel like this capital requirement on PayPal is a little bit of a pain in the ass. So what would be my move if I needed to? The first thing that I would do is I would see if the algorithm would allow me to sell more calls. I would see if the algorithm would allow me to sell more calls. Like, would it allow me to put another 100 calls out there, not even fighting for the extra dollar, because that's irrelevant. And the algorithm's like, you could do that. So I'm going to do that. Gives me another percentage of buying power. And I'm like, okay, Mr. Market, if you're going to be an absolute pain in my freaking ass over here at 55, I'm going to go try to rape you for more money on the other side, because I do that a few times over. Now we're talking about $13,000, $14,000, nothing to sneeze at on the call side. I'm like, okay, we can handle this type of pain over here, because it feels painful. The fire's hot, but it isn't really burning you. And the chances of early assignment are minuscule based on the math. It's not about a feeling. It's based on the facts, the math, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. So the math says here that if I got extrinsic value of $60,000, because I'm not looking at the net lick, 94,000. Why is that different? Because there's $34,000 in negative equity rolled into that car, right? Remember, I go back to the tape, and whenever you roll an option that is in the money, that negative equity doesn't just get washed away like snow, right? Like your sins white as snow. That's not what happens. That's not what happens. You're trading in that car with negative equity, and that gets rolled over into the other note. So at some point, you have to be able to write out the entire note to get out of all of the negative equity whenever you're trading cars in, right? Same thing with the roll. So we're rolling from a position of weakness now, not from strength. Why? Because it's in the money. Anytime it's in the money, trust me, you're rolling from a position of weakness, not strength. Whenever you're rolling at the money or slightly out of the money, that's rolling from a position of strength, not weakness. So just keep that in mind. Another teaching segment for you guys. So I'm like, okay, I could, do a little delicate dance with the devil here, if you will, because I do not think that we run the risk of early assignment right here. But in the meantime, I'm going to milk this thing. But keep in mind, doing this right here, making this move right here that I did live and in color for you guys, makes you susceptible to this whipsaw effect that Sergio talked about. What if PayPal delivers some news, an acquisition rumor, etc.? You wake up and PayPal's now at 65, 70 bucks. Now you're like, shit. Now I got to deal with this naked call, and this has an unlimited risk to the upside. Theoretically, PayPal has the risk to the downside is what? It could go to zero. There is no negative one in the stock market. It could go to zero. Is that likely? No. What's the floor on PayPal? Gun to my head. I'm like, dude, if PayPal ever gets to this level, you're dead. I'm going to say 40 bucks. That's the floor. I'm not going to say 48. Not going to say 47. Not going to say 46. It's my life. It's the most precious thing that I have. I'm going to say 40 is the floor on PayPal because mathematically it's just retarded. That would be like a 6P ratio or something like that. It might even be less than that. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm like, I don't see a world mathematically where PayPal can go to 40. So that's why I like this play so much, because I feel like the floor is here, but the ceiling's way up here if they can get it together. So you see how that profit and loss for the day is negative already because PayPal's been climbing up, right? It was in the 52s earlier, and now it's in the 53s. So that's potentially the whipsaw effect that Sergio speaks of, because I feel like sometimes he says things that are like over the audience's head. So when I have opportunities to clarify what him and options and other smart guys that I bring onto the channel have said, I try to dumb it down for you guys. So this is me kind of dumbing it down. So I understand that if this thing starts becoming a pain in the ass, I'm going to be excited about it, first of all. But secondly, I know that at some point I might have to manage it. And what would that look like? I might have to roll it over here, something like that. And then it isn't about credits at that point. It's about getting a little bit more width. So I might have to do something like that as well. Give me another 5,000 and let's move the goalpost higher and higher. Let's not forget the fact that the sentiment's in the freaking toilet. So again, you're going to have to make some corrections. This isn't, people they want to roll one time and they just want it to all work out. Guys, sometimes in order to manufacture the win, like with Tesla last year, because I was like getting hammered when I first started doing really big strangles, there was like 40 or 50 rolls by the time I finally got to a level to where I'm like, okay, I can get out of this thing. So there's going to be a lot of adjustments along the way. This year, I'm trying to make less adjustments because every time you make adjustments, you got to pay some fees, right? So I'm like, I don't want to just keep overcorrecting because those fees add up at the end of the day. So I don't want to do that. SoFi is now on the uptick a little bit. So it's good news because I'm excited about it because we did get a little bit of money here. We got 2,500, $5,000. We got $5,000 for agreeing to buy it. For agreeing to, it's Manoj sending me some more Bitcoin and Ethereum stuff. For agreeing to buy it from 24 to 23, it was just the right thing to do for the particular portfolio. And then it looks like Palantir is trying to find the sea legs here, right? And again, I'm just looking at the price action. I'm not looking at the charts or anything like that, but I still know that the 200-day moving average is probably like 157, 158. So I'm like, it's going to have a real hard time getting above that. So I'm like, okay, well, we have the 2-to-1 ratio now, and I feel good about it. I'm not going to do anything else there. On strategy, I'm not going to do anything there. If it were to take yet another leg down, then one thing that I might have to consider doing is kicking the can down the road to September and going from 165, from 160 to 150. And I'm like, might have to do that. Doesn't bring in a lot. Screws up your ROI, all that stuff. When you're dealing with cash secured puts. On portfolio secured puts, because it's a lot more capital efficient, it doesn't hurt you as much. And that's why I just, once you get comfortable, and again, I'm not encouraging people to go on portfolio margin sharpen your skills, really understand how to manage these positions, etc. But this is huge for the portfolio down the road where I can get a little bit of a credit. It's not about that. It's about taking the notional value risk, the conditional value of risk off the table and having an agreement instead of buying them at 160, buying them at 150 so that the buying power doesn't creep up a lot. Because if the buying power requirement on strategy creeps up a lot, that's going to put the portfolio back on a margin maintenance call. Account ending in 90. This thing was like in the 90s percentage wise. So the first thing I like to do is I like to go to the activity, the history. Where did we end up? A lot of moves, negative 400 when it was all said and done. So what did we do? Did some stuff with PayPal. Just looking at it. Did some stuff with PayPal there. SoFi looks like I probably did the same thing. Went from 24 to 23, and then did some more stuff with PayPal. There's not a lot of positions here, so let's just go through them. 22 days to I didn't do anything on BMU. We, right now we're stuck, right? We own the shares at 550, and it's currently going for 433. Fortunately, we did bring in 42 cents. That's why you have the trade price here at 508. That's your adjusted cost basis just for that leg, for that options leg. You subtract the 42 cents from the 550, that puts you at 508. So I'm like, okay, it's not really that bad. It's not really that bad. We can keep bringing the cash register over and over, and if things get worse, we'll on the next round of cover calls, we'll sell them at 6. We'll sell them at 6, and we just need to ring the cash register. So what do I do with PayPal? Let's look. So again, this was 8:47 a.m. We rolled laterally with the 25 days right here, the 22 days to expiration. We rolled it to 43 days. And we brought in some credits, right? I did it at 34. The price improved me to 36. That's one move we made. Another thing we did after that is we're like, no, we don't like that. It's not working. So we rolled it out more. And that's how we ended up over here at the 78 day. So that's how we ended up in the 78 day. We rolled the puts again from the 43 day, March the 13th to April the 17th. The 78-day cycle, and we kept it at 55, and we brought in more credits. So you can see there that we brought in $36 a contract, and then we brought $48 a contract, and the only thing we did was kick the can down the road. That's all we did there. Then I sold more naked calls. I'm like, okay, Mr. Market, you're going to be a pain in the ass. You're going to be a pain in the ass on the short puts. I need to go ring the cash register on the short calls. That I was like, you can't have both. You can't have both. If you're going to win, I got to figure out how to win on the other side. And that is why I sold those calls on PayPal. And then after all the other moves that I made, I'm like, okay, algorithm still not liking it. So I trimmed from 200 puts to 150. So I gave back 400 and I agreed to give back 480. It price improved me to $472 a contract. So after doing all of that, that's how we ended up at negative $400 for the day. That's how all that worked out. I don't know why all of this is highlighted. So again, I'm looking at capital requirements, and we already know that PayPal is the one that's being a pain in the ass, right? It's obvious. BMNU, not really that big a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, just to be frank with you, it just isn't. We got 10,000 shares at 550. Okay, cool. We brought in 42 cents. It's at 431 right now. I'm like, I could do this again, but at 6, bring in another 42 cents. I mean, a couple of rounds of that, and we're manufacturing the win on BMNU. So it just really isn't that big of a deal. B, it's not that big of a position for a $300,000 portfolio. PayPal, this is the pain in the ass trade right now, right? And you'll see that the net lick is different than the extrinsic value because it's taken into account the negative equity on the rolls because we rolled from a position of weakness, not strength. A, B, Also, there is the fact now that we lost money on PayPal, right? Because you got to go over here now. You got to go what year to date, and you're going to see that PayPal realized gain negative. So I got to keep all of that in mind because I got to ultimately stay in this trade long enough to erase that $41,000 to the no bueno on PayPal and turn it into a bueno of $30,000. How could that happen? By simply writing this thing out and PayPal bouncing above 55 bucks. What would help it get there faster is ringing the cash register on these naked calls over and over and over again. So I'm like really trying to show y'all all the insights on how I look at this stuff and how I go about manufacturing the win. I don't have to be right now, but eventually I do have to get it right. You're playing the range game. You gotta eventually move the goalpost to the sweet spot, and the ball needs to get to the other side, right? To make the goal. Account ending in 01. This one got probably in the 90s too. But this one was just a little bit easier. And the reason that this was a little bit easier to manage is because it doesn't have a lot of positions. This isn't that $700,000-$800,000 range. This was at one point it was at $900,000. But again, there's always money coming out of this account, so it's a little bit hard to keep the balance up. So let's go through this particular account here. Transactions 3,350 to the good. So again, it's PayPal, Palantir, SoFi. Just 3 trades that I made here, or 3 adjustments that I made. So on BMNU, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. We had 30,000 shares at 522. It's currently trading at 431. So I think we can all agree that that sucks, right? That sucks. Fortunately, we do have, man, I didn't see this yesterday. I could have sold some calls over here. We have 25,000 of those shares for sale at $7. Hold on, I see the WhatsApp group going off over here. Bear with me, guys. You guys are planning over there. I see a meme of a little kid over this funny. You guys are crazy. So anyway, so that part sucks. That part sucks. Could have brought in probably another $1,000 or so, but I'd have seen it. I just didn't see it. My bad. What are you gonna do? Right? In fact, it isn't ideal, but it's something. I mean, we're already here. Might as well freaking bring in what we can. It's 50 contracts. It's not ideal, man. It's not always sunny in 75, but over long stretches of time, you can kind of make it work. $900 is $900, man. So we'll see if we can get that to fill. PayPal. So what do we do on PayPal? Let's look at PayPal. What did we do on PayPal? So again, it's 8:49 a.m. I'm in the heat of this thing. The first thing that I did is I sold more naked calls, rang the cash register for $5,900. First thing I did. After that, I rolled again from a position of weakness, right? Because these are in the money. I rolled the 22-day cycle out. This is the Tasty Trade way, right? Manage 21 days to expiration. I'm like, I can't even wait till the 21 day. We're going to do it on the 22 day. And I kicked it out to 43 day. Why? To reduce some of the early assignment anxiety. Manish is texting me. You guys are tough, man. Whenever you text me and I'm live, it throws me off, but I appreciate you guys. So anyway, that's what I did. I did a lateral roll on PayPal, rang the cash register for $8,000 because $40 a contract times 200. Then what else did I do? Sold open, buy to close. Sold open, buy to close. Oh, this is where I took off 100 contracts. This is where I took off 100 contracts. So that part sucks. No. Wrong. It's because it's 300 contracts total. I wasn't able to roll all 300 contracts. So I had to roll 200 and then I had to roll another 100. So that's what I did. So I did a lateral roll on 200 contracts, and then I did a lateral roll on 100 contracts. That's a mental note. I got to call it Tasty Trade. I got to be able to do at least 500 contracts at a time. Some of these I'm only able to do 200 contracts at a time. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Mental note. Then what else did I do? Sold more naked calls. Rang the cash register. $25, 200 times over. And then I was like, okay, algorithm still not liking it. So I had to go take my medicine. And that's when I closed out 100 contracts of PayPal I agreed to do it at $430 a contract. It price improved me to $412 a contract. And after all that, that's how we ended up. That's how we ended up at $3,350 to the good. So after all of that commotion, we still ended up $3,300 to the good. So now I go and I look at these expirations. I look at the extrinsic value of 198,000 because the goal is to get this account to $1 million, because it's, right now it's between 700,000 and 800,000. It'll get to 800 and 900,000 pretty quickly, because that's where we've been teetering. Even though there's withdrawals in this particular account on a regular basis, I still think that we can get it to $1 million here in the next 90 days or so. So now let me just see if there's still a path to doing that. What do we need to happen? What are we cheering for? So obviously we need BM and U to pump. We need BM and U to pump. That's one. The next thing we need is we need PayPal to get to at least $54, because it's being an absolute pain in the ass right now. It's legitimately being PayPal right now. We needed to go from PayPal to PayPal. That's what we needed to do. CleanSpark, we're just chilling. I felt like there was no need to do anything with CleanSpark. Why? Because it's not going to move the needle on the capital requirement. And at $10, it's pretty damn attractive. There's plenty of cash here. You see, there's that $5,000. That's another withdrawal, right? Just showing you there's always withdrawals in this particular account. So CleanSpark is at $10. So I'm like, okay, I don't really have to do anything there. We just got to wait it out. SoFi, it looks like I rolled from 24 to 23 just because everything was at $24. Now I'm looking at it. So let me see if that's true. And that's exactly what it is right here. You'll see it. I went from 24 to 23. It expired in a day. And I'm like, let me keep the trade on because I like it. It could just expire worthless and that's it. That's cool. But I'm like, no, I want to keep it on. It was an $80,000 buying power requirement. And they reduced it to $65,000 buying power requirement from rolling from 24 to 23. Because again, this is a trade. This is a campaign. It's not a trade. And I'm like, I like SoFi at 24. I like it a lot more at 23. And then the absolute pain in the ass in all the portfolios right now is Palantir. So what did I do with Palantir? So if we look here, 9:09 a.m., what did I do? It looks like what did I do? Sold to open, buy to close. Okay, it looks like I rolled from 220 to 200 on the calls, and got in $89 a contract times 150. So do the math on that. It's not bad. And then here it looks like I sold more naked calls. I got $174 a contract 50 times over, and that's how we have now 100 puts at 140 versus 200 calls at 200 with extrinsic value of $115,000. Now I feel pretty good about it. I will feel better about it. And why am I trying to stack credits? Why am I trying to stack credits? It's because if Palantir takes yet another leg down at some point, instead of just rolling out and out and down, I might just be in a situation where I could just roll down. Like I could look at this entire thing right here and just be like, hey, can you just roll the strikes down? Both of them. Can we just roll the strikes down? Can we do something like this? Can we do something like that for very little money? It doesn't like it. But that's what I'm shooting for down the road is instead of going out, if I could just roll the entire position down, since I have more calls than puts, that's why I have it balanced the way that I have it balanced, because I feel like, make no mistake about it, the risk is to the downside, not the upside on Palantir. Another thing that I could consider doing, I just don't think the algorithm will like it, because I feel like it knows that it will create a whipsaw effect. Is I'm like, will it just allow me to sell more naked calls? Because if I could ring the cash register on more naked calls, then I'm able to withstand the heat of the fire on the puts that are getting challenged severely. The algorithm doesn't like that either. So it's basically telling me, hey, you got to stay put. You got to stay put. You are bringing in $2,500 of theta through the door. And we'll see what happens. So then the other move is okay, cool. This is a campaign. It's not a trade. I thought that I was going to be right now, but maybe I don't end up being right now. And I just have to keep plugging away, kicking the can down the road, maybe expanding a little bit. So what would that look like? So this is all the stuff that I always anticipate doing. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of credits to be had here. What if I'm like, I don't want to jack with you anymore in 20 days, right? I'm like, I don't want to jack with you. There's a lot of credits here. How would you reward me the most? Because look at the expected move, right? It's huge. So I'm looking at the deltas. So that's a even delta right there. It's not going to like that because we have more calls than puts. So it's going to want me to probably do something like that, in my opinion, so that it doesn't hurt the buying power too much. So I'm eyeballing that, and I'm like, okay, so let me just keep practicing with that, because you want to practice with it. That way, you know what you're able to do and not do. So I'm thinking it's not about credits. It's about now manufacturing the win. So I'm thinking I'd have to go to like 125, and I need to go to like 220, 230-ish, something like that. And it kind of likes that a little bit more because it's not reducing my buying power more. And then whenever I look at this particular position at 125 and 230, I'm like, I've already guarded myself against the whipsaw effect to the upside, because Palantir is just not going to go to 230. And then I feel a lot better about Palantir at 125 versus 140. And that is just the way that I look at it, guys, is I always just kind of like run a bunch of scenarios and see what could ultimately work. And if that doesn't work, if you can't make any adjustments that are going to free up your buying power, then the last adjustment that you need to make is you have to trim the position. It really is. That's what it comes down to. That's the math, right? That's the math. Anyway, keeping it going, account ending in 33, it was the same thing, man. It was all the same thing. It was all the same thing. Where did we land? Positive $9,225. And it was just PayPal, Strategy, SoFi, Palantir, more PayPal. So I had to make a lot of moves because this one was in a margin maintenance this morning. So I didn't do anything with BMU. With PayPal, I ultimately ended up with 300 calls at 65. So it allowed me to ring the cash register aggressively on the naked calls. And I trimmed from, well, let's see, it'll tell you how many I trimmed. I trimmed 100 contracts on the puts. No, I trimmed more than that. Yeah, I trimmed 150 contracts. I had 300 puts, and I trimmed it to 150 puts. So it took an absolute bath there, but I was able to make it up with the moves that I did on the other positions. And again, that's why my favorite ticker is the portfolio itself, right? So I was like, okay, PayPal's being an absolute pain in the ass. It's sucking up a lot of buying power. And then the other one that's sucking up a lot of buying power is Palantir. So now we got 150. And so the other thing that I had to do on Palantir is I had to roll these calls, these puts out in the distance, because that helped out the buying power. That helped out the buying power. So you can see all those credits there, right? All those credits over here. And then the other thing that I considered doing was selling another 75 calls over here at 200, but I didn't get around to it, and I don't know if it's going to even let me do it. So I'm going to oh shit, hold on. That's a lot going on. So another thing that I was going to try to do, and I was saving it for this live, but I just don't know if the algorithm's going to like this move or not. Doesn't like the move, so I can't do it. Doesn't like the move. They're like, no, whipsaw effect. We don't like it. So you got to listen to your algorithm, man. It'll help you out. You know, it'll help you out if you're willing to listen. So that's pretty much all that I could do here for now, unless I'm willing to trim more. But I'm like, I believe that PayPal is going to bounce to 55 bucks. I'm not going to overcorrect, and I have to get comfortable playing in this bright yellow, light red category. You know what I mean? Like, it is not where I want to be right now. It's just not where I want to be right now, but this is where we're at. So now I got to go study the VIX and all these other things and see, okay, where's it at? Like, how bad is it? How bad is it? So that pretty much concludes. Oh no, we didn't go over the big account. I made some moves here too. Sorry about that. So what did I do in the big account, and where did we end up? Negative 69,000 bucks. I mean, I'm sorry, positive $69,000. So what did I do? I had to make some moves that I didn't really want to make. But whenever things get tough, you gotta eliminate the noise. So obviously I did some stuff with Palantir strategy. I cut Google for a small profit. I didn't want to have to do that, but it was sucking up about $300,000 of buying power. I'm like, I ain't got time for you right now, bro. I ain't got time for you right now. You're out of there. The other thing that I did is I rolled strategy farther out in the distance, and I went from 170 to 165, brought in some credits for that. And I feel really, really good about that move. That's the best move that I've made in this portfolio today by far, in my opinion. And then the other thing that I did is I cut out another winning trade that was sucking up a little bit of capital, two more actually. NVIDIA got out of that position for a small win. And then I closed out United Health. I'm like, I don't even have time to deal with you right now. Fortunately, to make like 8,000 bucks or so on that deal. And then I sold more calls on Enphase. So we'll talk about those here real quickly. Let me put this on days to expiration. Okay, super. So PayPal, how did we land? I didn't do anything with the puts. Getting annihilated on the puts. Didn't do anything with them. Didn't do anything on the calls. I was like, I ain't going to get crazy. I was like, would it allow me to sell another 2,500 calls? I don't know. I mean, just for shits and grins, right? Like, would it allow me to do another 1,000 calls? Probably not, because I think the max that we can have on a position is 5,000 contracts. So yeah, it won't allow me to do that. Or I guess it would, but I'm like, it's just not going to move the needle. 15 grand. So I'm like, no, I'm good because talk about a major whipsaw effect. If PayPal were to shoot up all crazy, that could cause problems, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to take this win right here, and I'm going to keep trying to rinse and repeat it. One thing that a big decision that I will have to make on the next round of naked calls, because I got to ring the cash register on the naked calls. I have to, because I put myself in a position to go all in on the backstop trade. So I knew what I was signing up for. I was a sound mind, body, and spirit when I got into this thing, guys. I knew what I was signing up for when I drafted the trade up on the board. I knew what I was signing up for. So I was like, this is, baby, I feel like we can make $5 million with PayPal. And I drew all of these scenarios up. And I was like, when we start getting our ass kicked over here, because maybe, I mean, just imagine, because I've been in this trade for 64 days. Imagine if I was getting into this trade today. My goodness, instead of bringing in $1 million, it would have brought in 1.4 million. That would be awesome. And I probably wouldn't even be at 50. I'd be at like 47.50 or 45 and bringing in like $1 million, right? Those are the things I think about. But I'm like, if we get our ass kicked over there, baby, I'm going to ring the cash register on the naked calls. And we're going to bring in probably $80,000 to $150,000 a month, depending on how aggressive I'm willing to be. So that is something that I'm going to have to really, really consider on the next round of covered call or naked calls. Is I'm like, let's say we go to the 36-day cycle. is if am I going to stay over here at the 11 delta? That's between 1 and 2 standard deviations? Or am I going to be like, no, you're punishing me too much. I want to punish you too. And I'm going to go to 60, which is right at 1 standard deviation. Because what does that pay? An extra $190,000. So I'm basically telling you, Mr. Market, if you're going to F me over here, I'm going to F you over there. That's what I'm telling Mr. Market. And that is why you got to learn how to read the scoreboard. And I'm doing my best on this channel to show you guys the portfolio through my lens. Guys, I'm one of one. Nobody in the stock market on YouTube is going to walk through these positions the way that I walk through them. And when you guys are just stuck on this, I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I only meant to ring the cash register about $80,000 to $100,000 a month. But now you're telling me that there's a $200,000 bill there. If you want to be a pain in the ass on these puts over here, I'm going to be a pain in your ass on these calls over here. And I'm going to ring the cash register, and that's all going to go towards the bottom line. So I'm like, interesting. If you want to play dirty like that, I'm going to play dirty too, because I'm able and willing to sell the other side. And if there's a whipsaw effect, I would just roll out, and I could close everything else out, and I can cover this fucking position, and let's dance. That was my mindset when I got into the trade, and that is still my mindset now. I'm like, if I had to go all in at some point on PayPal at these levels, preferably in the 40s, where do I sign up? Because that would be the easiest swing trade of my career at that point. BMU, absolute pain in the ass right now. 150,000 shares at $5.61. We got a deposit going through. It's not showing up yet. We got $250,000 going through. Why? Because I want to buy an additional 50,000 shares of BMU at these levels. I could do it right now, but it's going to really hurt the buying power. SoFi, the 23 puts, didn't do anything. It's 22 days out, didn't do anything. And I just feel like it's really not going to move the needle. Like, I'm like, even if I was like, okay, Tasty Trade Way, manage 21 days to expiration, roll it out over here to the 50-day cycle. And I'm like, I like the 36. Can we roll it to 22 just to be a little bit more responsible? I mean, it's okay. You know, it's $23,000, nothing to sneeze at, but it doesn't really improve the buying power is what I'm saying. It's not a big enough trade. I know that sounds crazy. It gets a lot of contracts, but it's not a big enough trade to move the buying power because that's not where the pain is. That's not where the pain is. You got to look at the capital requirement. Where's the pain? The 2 million. We own the shares. There's not an agreement to buy more shares. We already own the shares, and we're ringing the cash register at 40. Another thing that I could potentially do. This is just, again, it's not recommended. It's not recommended, but something that I could potentially do on the next round to get more aggressive with ringing the cash register, because I got to make sure that I do my quote unquote artificial injections of cash, is I could sell calls at like 35 and just ring in the cash register crazy. But then you got to understand that the whipsaw effect, right? If this thing shoots up, now you're like scrambling on the other side, and you're like, man, I could have just been patient. I didn't have to do that. It was in the yellow line. It wasn't in the red line. And then you're just angry at yourself. So again, don't overcorrect. Don't overmanage. Manage when you need to, not when it's uncomfortable. And talk about the trade that really has me pissed off right now. Absolutely pissed off right now. If I was willing to lose like $3,000 or $4,000 yesterday on Enphase, I would have sold all of these shares and freed up about $600,000 of buying power, which would put our buying power usage right now in the mid to high 60s. Now, if I want to do that, I'm taking a bath of $150,000 on these particular shares right now, right? Because if I sold these shares right now, you see how it increases the buying power, 389,000. It frees up some of our cash, but then I legit lost money on Enphase, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Bought the shares at 41. I got them for sale at 45. The other move that I can make is be like, okay, fuck that. Let me just lower these down to 40. Bottom at 40, I'll sell them to you at 40 or 41 for that matter. And I can ring the cash register that way. Be like, I need to get back into cash on that part of the portfolio. So I bought them at 41. I sold some of the shares at $40.90 yesterday. Here's the rest of them. That's an option. But I didn't do that. What did I do instead? I sold more naked calls today on Enphase. I sold more naked calls on Enphase today. 500 of them. Remember we had 500? So I had 50,000 shares. So it was covered. So now it's a quasi covered. Now halfway covered or a little less than halfway covered, 44% covered, 66% uncovered. So I was like, nah, I don't want to do that, but I'll sell more naked calls. I'll sell more naked calls because that's going to ring the cash register about 50 grand. So why did I do that? Good question. Glad you asked. Because I was like, well, I can get more money over here selling the naked calls. If SoFi were to dip to 20 and I got to find the money because I'd rather try to swing trade SoFi than Enphase at that point, I would be comfortable losing $100,000 or $150,000 on Enphase over here on the shares because I would have already made the money up on the naked calls because I sized up on the naked calls. So that would be for the most part a wash, plus or minus 40, 50 grand in this size of portfolio. That's kind of what it feels like. It's kind of like a wash whenever you're less than $50,000. It's not a huge deal in the larger scheme of things because then now I could position myself for a massive run that I think is coming with SoFi. So I missed that opportunity yesterday and I'm pissed off. Make no mistake about it. I'm pissed off about it. I am pissed off about it. Everything was telling me that was the right move yesterday and only, 6,000 of the shares got filled and I got stubborn. I should have just lowered the shit down to like 40, 80, 40, 70 and lost like $8,000 or $10,000. And I could have easily made it up just by selling another $100 in naked calls. You know what I mean? I didn't think it through. So here we are because I really wanted to move this money. I'm talking about the share money into SoFi. So for that, I'm really, really irritated, but it is what it is. You can't get angry and stay angry because it's not going to help you do anything. Riot, $15 puts, didn't do anything because it's not using up a lot of capital and I could still afford Riot. There's plenty of cash there. To buy the 30,000 shares of Riot, which would be about $450,000. Palantir, this is the pain in the ass trade, right? So what did I do is I rolled from 220 to 200. Right here. And I sold more naked calls. I was at 1,200 naked calls. I sold 200 more right here. So rang the cash register, $161, 200 times over by selling 200 more naked calls. And then I rolled from 220 to 200 and I brought in another $800, 1,200 times over. So do the math on that. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. I know. It's crazy. But now I feel a little bit better about it. I'm like, okay, if you're going to be an absolute pain in the ass on the short puts, I got to know what it is that I signed up for. Roll the tape. I've been saying it all along that I feel very fortunate with the amount of money that I made last year on Palantir running these short strangles, but it was the most uncomfortable $700 and some $1,000 that we'd ever made. Why? Because I felt like at some point the bottom's going to fall out of Palantir. But I'm counting on Palantir. I'm counting on the Colt. I'm counting on the Army to prop it up. I'm counting on the Army to prop it up. At some point, they're just going to look at a nice round number of 150, 140, and they'll be like, oh, this is stupid. It was already at 208, and they don't know how to do math over there at Palantir. They never want to talk about the valuation. So I'm hoping that those people are still out there. I'm hoping that those buyers are still out there, and they're going to freaking start going real heavy on Palantir at these levels because it's a foregone conclusion that this thing's going to $1 trillion, and nothing's going to stop it. And I'm in that camp too. I just don't think it's going to happen as soon as they do. But that's the idea. That's why I didn't want to kick this can down the road. I was like, let me just stay here. It's uncomfortable, but fortunately, I was able to sell more naked calls. And then the other thing that I could do is I could roll those naked calls down. And then I can maybe look to roll the entire position down. So that's the stuff that I'm looking at now. Is I'm like, okay, what if the next move is to roll from 200 to 180? How does the algorithm feel about it? It doesn't like it at all. It doesn't like it at all. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe the algorithm, maybe something's telling me there that there's still a lot of positive call skew. So that's another thing that you can look at is you can look at the trading tables and be like, okay, let's see if we have anything here that stands out. So we've got the 140 puts. There's 10,000. It's a 33 delta. And then on the 200 calls, we have 10,000 contracts, open interest, and it's a 12 delta. So now I got to go find where's my 33 delta at. The 33 delta is over there at 170. And there's 5,000 contracts at 170 versus 10,000 contracts at 140 on the puts. So just eyeballing it real quickly, and I'm going to look at other strike prices, but it's telling me that Palantir now has a positive put skew. Like there's more puts than calls, right? Because I'm looking at the open interest here. You can look at the volume too, but I just like to focus on one metric. I'm looking at the open interest. So I'm looking here across the board at 160, right? Pretty close to at the money. There's 34,000 contracts on the calls. You see that right there? 34,000 contracts on the calls. And I go look at and that's a 43 delta, right? Pretty much at the money. I go look at the 43 delta, which is 150, 145. And you only have 500, 5,021 contracts, 14,000 contracts. So there's more call contract open interest than there are puts. So there's still, so it's mixed. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. So I think the best thing that I can do is just kind of wait and see. I'm monitoring the buying power usage. We're kind of just seeing where it's playing. And I already know that I'm going to have to make some adjustments, right? Like this adjustment, I love it a lot. I love this adjustment a lot. Like going from 170 to 165 for a credit. Yes, I'm rolling over negative equity and all that stuff. I get it. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to manufacture the win, and I don't have to be right now. And then this early assignment anxiety, like the range anxiety, if you haven't done a road trip on the Tesla, because range anxiety is not really a thing because there's enough charging stations out there to where you can go all over the country now on most Teslas, right? But there's a lot of people that if you haven't done it, then you just don't know. I've already done a few, 3-4 hour trips on Tesla, and it's like pretty seamless. You just got to park, about 15 or 20 minutes to get enough juice to get to the major city, and you're good to go. Well, the same thing with early assignment anxiety. If you haven't been in this situation several times, you always feel like, holy shit, these puts are in the money, or these calls are in the money. They're going to call the shares away, or they're going to put the shares on me. Because you just can't get out of your head and just do the math. And I'm like, okay, what's the incentive? What is the financial incentive for the counterparty to put all of these shares in our portfolio now? When there's all of this extrinsic value that somebody has to pay for, and it isn't going to be me. So think about that. It would wipe us out. We'd have to close almost everything because, again, I'm selling the kind of puts here where I'm willing to go all in if necessary. I'm like, I'll go close everything out. Let's go make good. Let's go dance with strategy. And now I start thinking, let's just say that these shares, we woke up and there was an early assignment of 70,000 shares and we're in freaking margin, and Tasty Trade's like, hey, you got to go close everything out. Congratulations, you're all in on MicroStrategy. I hope it works out for you, right? Let's just say that happened, because that would literally be the scenario That would literally be the scenario. We would have 14. So let's just do the notional, right? Let's just do the notional. So we got 70,000 shares times 165, 11 million, right? It's $11,550,000. So we could afford it. Y'all saw earlier what the net liquidation value was, right? In the high 13s. You already saw that. So we could theoretically do that. We could theoretically go all in on strategy at $165. That gives me comfort. So then now I start looking at, okay, man, let's just say that we woke up, the counterparty's IQ was really, really low, and they're like, screw it, I'm going to put it on this guy. I've been watching his channel. I don't like him. I want to see how he deals with this. Let's just say all of those things were true, which we all know nobody's watching the channel. I've been in it for 4 years and don't even have 1 million views yet. But let's just say that our actual counterparty was watching this channel and they're like, this is going to cost me money too, but I just want to see you deal with this kind of pain. What would I do? Obviously, we close everything out. We're all in on Palantir. We'll probably have a family meeting about it. And I'm going to convince everybody how everything's good. Everything's good. Let's not panic. It's organic. We're going to sell covered calls at 165. So let's just say we wake up. This is how you deal with range anxiety and with the Tesla. What do? You go on your freaking Tesla map, your charging map. And you're like, okay, where the hell are the chargers? How are we going to get to Houston? How are we going to get to San Antonio? Because we're going to Rio Grande Valley. So you got to like map it out and be like, okay, that makes sense. I remember the first time I took the Tesla to Houston, I called Buc-ee's because that was the place I was going to have to charge. I'm like, hey, just want to make sure that you guys, like, everything's good. I'm going to be able to charge my Tesla there. Like, we're good. There's like 30 of these chargers here. Knock yourself out. I was like, fantastic. Gone to San Antonio for the first time in the Tesla. I called the Love's truck stop over there outside of Three Rivers. And I was like, hey, just want to make sure that everything's working here because it says that I can charge in Falfurrias. I'd have to do a detour to charge in Alice. I don't want to do that. So the next stop is going to be at the Love's. And they're like, you're good, dude. There's like 10 chargers here. You're going to be okay. Sometimes you might have to wait 10 or 15 minutes, but we good. We got you. Fantastic. So it helped to alleviate my range anxiety. So what helps me to alleviate my early assignment anxiety is the fact that we could sell everything and go all in on strategy. And why am I harping on this one and not all the other ones? Because this one's the one that's in the money, right? This is your teaching segment. This is the one that's in the money. So let's see, okay, well, how bad is it? How bad is it? And can we afford it? If we're willing to go all in, the answer is yes. I'm like, okay, cool. So we just bought a freaking hotel. Right? But a Quality Inn, Quinta, whatever the hell, right? One of these lower end hotels, because you can't buy much for $13 million in the hotel industry. But let's just say you bought something, right? A little, I don't know, an older Marriott Courtyard or something. I don't know. You're like, okay, well, how much money does that bring in monthly? At 165. What does that bring in? What does that bring in? 700 contracts. And be like, okay, right at the middle. And obviously there's only 500 contracts there. But let's just say that that's what we're trying to do. Now, obviously it's not going to let me do this. It's going to say you don't have enough buying power. Oh, or surprisingly it does. That's interesting. I'm not going to do that, by the way. But let's just say that I wanted to do this. I go all in. I say, screw it. Got call my hand in the cookie jar. Got these shares assigned at 165, sold everything, had to sell everything because got to keep some cash, right? Got to keep some cash because you're all in at 13, at 11,550. Got to keep a couple $1 million in cash for a rainy day, right? Got to average down some more on strategy because you went straight retard mode and you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar, because these are the types of trades that I'm in and I understand what I'm in. So I'm going through all the examples of how I would deal with it. If I got assigned early, at $165, I would actually feel like that was a good thing because all of that negative extrinsic value would have magically been wiped away. And now I'm like, okay, I paid $165 for these shares and they're currently going for 143, 144, whatever it is. So now what I do? I got to go ring the cash register. I ain't waiting for Sunny and 75 because we're all in here. And it's going to bring in $328,000 a month. while we wait for strategy to bounce to $165 a share. I do that a couple of times. And then I'm like, okay, it's not bringing enough premium. I'm not liking it. But all the while I'm building my cash pile, because every time I would sell a covered call, what the cash pile is going to bring up, right? It's going to build up. And I'm going to put on a different hat now. I'm going to put on the Yankees hat. Why? Because they won more World Series than anybody. So they know how to manufacture the win, right? So I'm like, okay, now we're manufacturing the win. What are we going to do? Man, my head got smaller, dude. My head got smaller. Look at this. That's crazy. I'm going to have to put like something on here in the inside. Does your head shrink when you lose weight? Is that what's going on? This is crazy. Oh, hello. I could just adjust it back here. Oh, I thought this was one of those Pro Fit. Okay, awesome. Okay, it's a little better. Still big, but a little better. Bear with me. This is driving me crazy. I got OCD, guys. I'm sorry. Things have to be like perfect for certain things. If not, it freaks me out. Okay, there we go. That feels like a ball cap. So I'm like, okay, well, shoot. I do that for a year. If I'm able to bring in $300,000 for 10 months, that's $3 million. That puts us back to the 16, right? 17, all-time high, 17 million in this particular portfolio. Do I welcome that? No. Do I think that it would be okay? Yes. And I'd still have the other 2 million on the side. I would just sell short puts on Palantir at like 120 or something like that. So I got to clear this, by the way. So let me clear this. So I'm just like, okay, we're all in. We got stuck. We liked it at 165. We should like it at freaking 125. And we have $2 million. So how many contracts would that be? Probably about 200. So I'm like, okay, well, how much would that bring in? Another 90,000. So I'm like, okay, let me just understand this. If the counterparty was that special kind of stupid that I've never seen, but my grandpa and grandma warned me about, that they were out there. You just haven't seen them yet. You're not old enough. And my counterparty decided to put these shares on me early, even with all of this extrinsic value on the table. In other words, they're going to eat it because they saw this channel and they don't like me. They don't like my hat, whatever, right? They don't like my buck teeth in the front, whatever it is about me that they don't like. And they wanted to put these shares on me. I would go golf. I would take a step back. I would meditate. I would pray. I would come to the garage gym and work out, get into the sauna, and I would just start selling calls on the position, and I would sell 200 puts or maybe 300, right? So we can have a nice round number of 100,000 shares eventually. Sell 300 puts at like 125. These shares got assigned early, and that would ring the cash register for $400,000 a month while we hoped and waited for a bounce. And I would just do that over and over and over again until I manufactured the win. And I know it sounds crazy, but if Bitcoin were to catch a heater and go back up even to like 100,000, that could potentially be the fastest way to $20 million. So guys, I'm different. I'm one of one. I know that a lot of you guys, this is all you can see, and it's real hard. And I get it, man. I get it. It's real tough for you. But I feel like the fastest way to catapult forward is you have to be willing to take a step back. And strategy at 165, PayPal at 50. Not even SoFi is in this category. Those two, just those two. Or potentially in Amazon. But this one's way out of the money. But let's just say that it was in the money. At 200, 180. And I went all in. Same scenario. Went all in. I could manufacture the win, and that could actually be the fastest way to get to $20 million, and I don't have to screw with any of this other stuff. Am I cheering for it? No. Would I low key be okay with it and pretty excited about it? Yeah. Probably get a lot of views too. I mean, I'm just saying if we wanted to do that. I mean, look at all the people tuning in still. 1,100 on Twitter, 99 on X, because everybody likes a train wreck, right? So depending on your knowledge of selling options, you can look at the portfolios right now and be like, oh my God, an absolute disaster. They're going to blow up their account, etc. But if you look at it through my lens, I'm like, dude, the counterparty would be that dumb to put all of those shares on us at 165, and I would get rid of everything else. I wouldn't even think about it. Just we're all in. Fuck it. All right. And we're going to generate 300, 400, maybe even $500,000 if I'm willing to sell the calls at like 160, $500,000 a month. And if strategy shoots up, play the stock from behind. Every dollar is $70,000 to the good. I think that could be the fastest way to $20 million. So whoever the counterparty is, I double dog dare you to put those shares on us. I double dog dare you to put those shares on us, because that would be the blessing in disguise that I've been looking for. Because every day I look at this portfolio and I'm like, what is the fastest way for me to get this damn account to $20 million? Is to go all in on a stock that I really, really believe in at a price that I feel like just mathematically it is impossible for me not to manufacture the win within like a year. So I'm kind of pumped. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because there's nobody that dumb on the other side. But my dad did, my grandpa and grandma did tell me, mijo, there's people, they're going to astonish you at how dumb they are. So if that person's really out there, or that algorithm's really out there, and they put those shares on us, we close everything out and we go all in at 165, I can manufacture the win. It gets a lot easier if I'm able to do it at 160, at 150. So you catch my drift? The longer I can stay in these trades and I can keep inching down. We were at 200 at some point. Now we're at 165. I keep going down to 150 eventually, 140 if Bitcoin's trying to find the bottom. Everybody's like, oh, Bitcoin's going to zero, whatever. We need that kind of sentiment, right? That kind of sentiment. And then it goes back up and I write it up. That could legitimately be the fastest way. And that would cause the less stress because it would just be no-brainer stuff ringing in the cash register, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month, and building up that cash pile. And even if it just stays sideways and we're building out the cash pile, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month, you look up a year later, you're sitting on $5-6 million in cash, and you're all in on a stock that you legitimately believe in. The IV's pretty high, and you're ringing the freaking cash register, and you're not that underwater. It's literally you're underwater to the point to where this move could be made in just one trading day. Man, that's exciting. What's another stock that I could feel the same way about? BM&R at like 18. So we have, about 18 to 20. We have the 100,000 shares at 44. And we would buy like 200,000 shares or 300,000 shares at like 18, give us an average in like the low 30s or high 20s. And I would just sell calls against that position over and over and over again. I feel like that could be the path to $20 million just as quickly. And that's what I'm looking at. So I'm like, I'm just in all of these plays until I can find the right situation and show y'all who I really am, because I'm that guy. When I got the nuts, I like to get my chips all in because but you got to get a sucker to call you, right? Preferably two or three. And that's how you can come up whenever you're playing poker. And that's the way that I look at selling options is like, I'm going to play real big on these positions that I really believe in. And if there's ever a situation where I could go all in at my price, because you get to name your price, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And that's what I've been building up for. The entire family knows what I'm trying to do. We're all on the same accord. So I double dog dare you. If you have that low of an IQ and you're on the counterparty at 165 on strategy, put those shares on us because you can make my job a hell of a lot easier. I'm a 90 to 100 golfer. I think that I could get into the 80s because I would be able to have that much time to go spend at the golf course. All of the FaceTimes would be on a headset and between my golf shots. You follow me? Like that's where we're at. Let me check in with you guys. I feel like there's a lot of comments here today. I appreciate you guys today, man. I hope y'all can appreciate this stream today. I thought I did good at running through all the scenarios. What's going on? Ace Monarch Luipi. What's going on? Do you ever self-reflect? I already did that one. Neo up, something brewing, in my opinion. I haven't been following Neo too much, to be honest with you, because I have my hands full. I know that Neo should be on the verge of profitability. Should be on the verge of profitability. So it's just a matter of time. Hans Gruber, what's going on? I'm all for you. Just interested in how much drawdown you're willing to take. I mean, I feel like I already explained that throughout this stream. I'm sorry I'm late on this. This is from 10:20 something. I apologize. I didn't get to all of these because I wanted to stay my focus. I have like ADHD, LMNOP, OCD, all that stuff, the entire alphabet. So I just like, let me get through the stream and then I'll get through y'all's questions. So I didn't mean to have y'all like on ignore, if you will. I'm just not able to see this stuff whenever I'm showing the portfolios. So if y'all could like, if y'all aren't already here, still here, I apologize. And maybe you can catch my response to these questions after. Making correction on accounts. TJ, you're looking good, my man. That jawline though. Is that good or not good? I don't know what the jawline means. Does that mean that I have a jaw now? Because guys, I'm almost having neck. It's been 2 years since I have a neck, and I almost have a neck now. It was I don't know. Why not sell the CSP instead of shares? Safer and still living up premium. Well, I already have the shares. That's the issue. Like I already have this share. I already have 100,000 shares of EMNR. So we're in it. We're in it. Good morning, crazy day. Good morning, boss. Margin call sucks. I've learned to leave enough buying power not to have them anymore. Yeah, that's man, it's tough, because if the VIX expands quite a bit, and I don't know what the VIX is. Let me pull it up right here. Let me pull it up right here because that's always the gauge that I look at. It's literally the first ticker on my watch list, the VIX, and it's only at 17. It's only at 17, so it's not even up that much. It was at 19 something earlier. I mean, it is up 9% today. Earlier, it was up 20%. So I've seen the VIX at 30 and 40. You know what I mean? Some people have seen it at like 50. I haven't been around in the market doing that. I haven't experienced that yet. So yeah, the VIX climbs up another 20, 30%. Going to have to make more adjustments, probably going to have to trim. TJ, do you still have? Yes, I have 150,000 shares of BMNU. I feel like I did get to all of this through the stream, so I'm thankful that I did all that. Is this stream lagging for anybody else? Yes, lagging. Sorry about that. TJ, would you close a trade with 29 days to expiration? And depends on what the trade is and whether or not it's a trade versus a campaign. If it's a campaign, no. If it's a trade, you won. You won. Congratulations. Yes, you should get out of that. Counterparty isn't the money until price at PayPal. That's the thing, right? You got to look at your extrinsic value. That's a real good observation there. That's exactly right. Dude, is a bloodbath today. Cover calls are printing. Yeah, but cover calls aren't going to make up for all those drawdowns. AI is holding up relatively well. Didn't Levi beat on earnings and getting an upgrade, and that's why his shares down? Yeah, sometimes the market just doesn't make any sense, right? What's the old adage? The market can stay irrational longer than we can stay solvent in most cases, right? Good morning. Palantir had a downgrade to 50 and someone said going under 100. That could very well happen. That could very well happen. SBRA has major support that will be going up from these levels, that shares will be going back over 19. Right on. Triple U always pot back over 5, that a director bought 95,000 shares in 6 and has no debt. Nice. Stay long enough to play another day. Agreed. Why are you buying those that I don't understand? I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone smashed a like. I'm trying to understand why Levi down before earnings. I don't know, man. I don't follow Levi enough. If we're talking about the jeans company, I think the jeans are great. Hey, what's going on? Good afternoon, morning to you guys. Good morning, Dr. Shanuru Settles. ASSD held strong for a down day. Right on. I haven't even looked at it. I don't buy puts. I feel like there's like a form of shorting. When you're selling naked calls, that's like it's quasi shorting, right? So what? Let's talk about this. Is good. This is good because I've been wanting to have this conversation with you guys. How do I view naked calls? Alex, this would be a good clip. How do I view naked calls? It's my version of buying puts. What do I mean? Good question. Glad you asked. If you buy puts, you're out premium and you need the shares to go down for you to make money. When you buy puts, when you're buying that insurance, if you will, or you don't even have the shares, you're just flipping contracts. You are directional. You think that the stock's going down. Whenever I sell naked calls, I look at them in the very same lens as I would if I was buying puts. Let me explain a little bit more. If the shares go down, my naked calls print. The puts print. If the shares go up, naked calls don't print. Neither with the puts. The difference is I at least got paid on the front end whenever I sold the naked calls. If I bought the puts, I'm out that premium. Guaranteed to be out that premium. And the only way that I can make any money, the shares have to go down. Whereas on the naked calls, the shares could go up, but if it don't reach my strike price, I could have been wrong directionally and still make money. Whereas when you buy the puts, if you're wrong directionally, you're not going to make money. But you're like, oh, well, you're excited because your shares didn't get hammered. You didn't suffer the drawdown. And I'm like, yeah, but you paid not to suffer that drawdown. Here, I want to get paid to potentially not suffer the drawdown. And if we suffer the drawdown, I only get paid my premium, right, on the naked calls. So to me, they're very similar, especially with the sizing that I play with on the naked calls. And at the end of the day, I'm a premium collector. I'm a premium seller. I'm a net premium seller. That's just the game that I play. It's how I run my hamburger stand. Everybody's got to do what makes sense to them. ASST, right on. Going much higher. Right now, I don't have room for anything else in the portfolio. AI is causing people to avoid fintech and software companies. Gosh, this is just SBRA. Is there anything else going on? Levi, we did that one already. TJ, on an annual basis, do you have percentage ROI that your experience tells you is normal based on your strategy? 25% is pretty not easy to get. Just mathematically, with the high beta stocks that I deal with, I get 25% a year on average just on the premiums. And if the stocks stay flat, fantastic. Any capital appreciation, even better. TJ lost 5 pounds worth of head weight. You look crazy. People can only be so smart, but they can be infinitely stupid. That is funny. Got here late, brother. Hope all is well. All good. I don't know. Did it? What about on Liberation Day? What did it hit on Liberation Day? Are we able to pull that up or no? Am I able to pull it up here on the VIX? I guess it has a chart, right? Let me look. Because I don't watch it that closely. 52. It shows 52 on April the 8th, Liberation Day, April the 8th, give or take it, Liberation Day, right in there. Yeah, it was at 200. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. We've had some other spikes here recently in November. We had a spike to 26. October the 16th, it spiked to 25. So yeah, those are the things when you're an option seller, that volatility expansion is a real thing. So yeah, so according to what I see on Yahoo, I saw on Yahoo Finance over here. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up over here because I have Yahoo Finance over here. Let me see. Yahoo Finance. Well, I just type in VIX, see what happens. Well, it isn't showing me anything. VIX, and I'll share this to you guys once I can find it. I think my computer, my internet's not doing so hot. Oh, here we go. Okay, so let me send this to you guys here. So there's a CBOE, right? There's a CBOE. And we'll go 1 year. So you guys can see over here that it was at 52.37, roughly around Liberation Day. And then it came all the way down, and then we've been cruising. And there's a lot of premium sellers that didn't like these levels. They don't like these levels. They feel like we're not getting paid for the risk that we're taking as premium sellers. So here in May, it went up quite a bit as well. Then over here it was 20 in August of last year, 20. And then just cruising over here. We're just pretty stale for a little while. And then we had a nice little spike in October. And y'all can look at fundamentally what happened. It might have been tariffs or something. I mean, who knows? Over here, probably more tariffs for all I know, right? So it went all the way to 26. And then we had some minor spikes a few days ago, and then the ones today. So yeah, this cost people a lot of money that were option sellers. So whenever the VIX is up here, you can load up on more contracts because you're playing for a volatility contraction. Whenever the VIX is down here, you want to be a little bit more mindful of the amount of contracts that you have on, because on any spike up, it's going to really, really hurt you. So those are the things that I've learned about the VIX. And that's why I study the VIX a little bit, is because, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's because I feel like I'm a little bit heavy on some contracts. So I took some notional off the table, right? I took some notional off the table. So now let's go to the spreadsheet. Let's go to the spreadsheet, and we've got total collateral of 52 million. So I still have Apple on, got ASST, BMNR, BMU, Enphase. We have all that. We have the shares at Enphase. This is 1,000 now contracts. Gotta do this one's now 1,400. And this is now at 200. PayPal is at now 2,500 calls. So I'm just updating everything here and just seeing if I like the way that it looks. So we got the SoFi play. It's still on, right? The $23 is on. And then we have the 36. So that's still on, not doing anything with it. And then the backstop trade, everything in yellow is backstop trades. So we got SoFi at $22, 11 months from now. So Apple, I still feel real good about Apple. We're sitting at 220 and 320. Feel pretty good about it. Amazon, the backstop trades at 200 and 180. I mean, if the entire portfolio was just full of like $40 million is just Amazon trades like that, I mean, I'd be golfing right now. I wouldn't even be going live with you guys. But that's like that trade like really stuck out to me a few days ago. And I was like, that's what the entire portfolio needs to look like because I can make a really healthy return, very, very limited stress. Because even on a major drawdown, I think Amazon's going to hold up pretty well at these levels right here. BMNR, we do have covered calls at 40. So we do have covered calls at 40, and we got 1,000 of those. So I got to put that on there. And I don't know what the expiration date was. I think it was probably around 227. So I'll just put 227. It might not be the accurate day. But I'm just trying to get accurate values over here. In phase, that's accurate. We got an agreement to buy 100,000 shares at 30. And we've got the shares for sale plus the naked calls at 45. And I think that's right. Marathon, we have the puts at $8. Strategy, we're now sitting at 165, and I think this is probably more like September the 18th now, but I'll have to look. And then the Palantir, we're sitting at 140 and 200. And then we have the Palantir backstop trades at 50 for June of 2027. I really like this trade here. Eventually, like this needs to be like a couple thousand contracts, but rather do it as Palantir keeps going lower because then you're going to get paid to take on that risk. Then we got PayPal, right? We've got the 2,500 contracts at 50. And then we got the 2,500 contracts at 65 for 220. I think that's accurate, right? We got the 300 contracts at 15. That's accurate. But it's like I'm looking at the notional, right? So that's why I took off like the NVIDIA, the Google, because I'm like, okay, I don't need all that extra collateral spoken for if something were to really, really hit the fan. So of all of these, which one's the one that makes me the most nervous? It's Palantir. So I'm going to put that one in this color right here. Why? Because the whole time that I've been in Palantir, I've always felt like it's overvalued. But fortunately, this trade expires here pretty soon, and the calls would print quite a bit of money. So that part's good. That part's good. That part's good. But it's uneasy. It's uneasy selling this amount of puts on Palantir at 140, even 130, feeling like this thing could legitimately drop to $100 very, 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 very quickly. Fortunately, there is a lot of money that is being made on the naked call, so that would help me to absorb a lot of those blows. And this is why I love these backstop trades too. Right? Look at all the crap from Palantir. It was at like 168, 170 not too long ago, and this thing's down like $7,000. It's just impervious to what's going on, and that's why I like these types of backstop trades because you're able to just live your life, and it's just data collection. You're just dripping data collection. The strategy one, man, again, I'm telling you, like this is presenting an opportunity where could this be the one that I'm able to go all in on? We'll see. But this Palantir trade is the one that definitely has me a little bit more on the edge. So what would I do if things really started getting out of hand? Besides just like rolling and rolling and rolling, the first thing that I would look to consider doing is maybe trimming the position by 200 contracts. That's the first thing that I would consider doing is be like, okay, you caught me. That's painful. Here's $156,000. Why is that painful? Because We made 700 and some $1,000 last year on Palantir, and now we're giving some of that money back. The algorithm didn't like it so much because we still have the 1,400 calls, right? So there's that. So another thing that I could do is I could potentially just close all the way around. I could just close 200 contracts on both sides, and the algorithm might reward that. So I just be like, okay, my sizing's jacked. Let me take the medication, and here's $190,000. Give me back a little bit of the buying power and just take pressure off the position, because that's the one that I'm the most uneasy about. Like the Palantir puts at 150, they don't got me. They don't got me feeling good. They don't got me feeling good, and it's what I've been saying the whole time that I've been running these strangles, and that's why I've been selling more calls than puts. This one here, on the other hand, does have me feeling kind of good. So I always look at the value of these, right? So I'm like, okay, that's 546,000. I could learn how to play golf. I could learn how to play golf. How? By rolling this thing out. By rolling this thing out. And again, I won't do this, but I won't do this, but I could. But I could, because I'm real creative. I'm real creative. I could do this right here. I could roll these 150s to maybe not 50. Where's my 50s? Bear with me. Maybe to like 75. And that would only cost me $37,000. But then now I'd be like, okay, it reduces some buying power a little bit, so I can make some adjustments elsewhere. But I'm like, now I'm just going to play the naked call game on Palantir, and I'll wait for and I'll see how these backstop trades play out. Is the bottom going to fall out of Palantir and stay out and stay down? Like, I mean, like, Palantir is over. It's no longer a unicorn. We're going to act like JD Vance and Peter Thiel aren't real chummy. We're going to act like Donald Trump doesn't hold Alex Karp in very high esteem. Like, we're just going to act like all that stuff's not true. Okay. That's something like that is what I would look to do. Something like that is what I would look to do. 1 second. Hey, Alan. Good. Yeah, one second. 1 second, guys. I got to take this call. It's yes, yes. Okay. It's a lady from Sunglass Set. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to run because I have to do some stuff with the sunglass hut lady and my dogs need to eat. But I wanted to take my time doing this live because I feel like can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? So I feel like a lot of you guys might be in a bind, and I just wanted to walk y'all through my mindset and how I'm dealing with all of this stuff. And don't overcorrect because you'll create the whipsaw effect. And if that's just not working, then it's probably your sizing. So that's just the way that it is whenever you sell options. If your buying power is just evaporating very, very quickly, it's probably your sizing. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I got to get rocking and rolling. I appreciate you guys. There's no reason for me to go live the rest of the day. I don't see me having to make any moves. And I do have some FaceTimes that I got to get to. I haven't even looked at my calendar. I might have been already skipping. No, I got FaceTimes. Yeah, I got some FaceTimes here. TJ the Wood Deal signing off. As always, guys, stay blue stock stream. Peace out. God bless you guys.